is yours.
Thank you so much, Sierra. Good morning to the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Douglas County. Today is Thursday, January the 13th, 2022. It is now 10:03 a.m. Welcome to our virtual Zoom meeting, certainly as we prepare for the Martin Luther King holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We're so excited to host our meeting today, which is Thursday. Just wanted our citizens to be mindful that we will be observing the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday this coming Monday. With that being said, I would like to start off with roll call with the Board of Commissioners. Board of Commissioners, when I call your name, please respond accordingly. District 1, Commissioner Henry Mitchell III.
Present.
District 2 and Vice Chairman Kelly Robinson.
Present.
District 3, Commissioner Terenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4, Commissioner Ann Jones-Guider.
Present.
Chairman Ramona Jackson-Jones, present. Board of Commissioners, we do have a quorum. Everybody, please mute your mics. Please, everyone, please mute your mics. Thank you. We have quite a bit of background noise. Clerk, do we have anyone sign up for public comment this morning?
Yes, ma'am. We had Mr. Levon Dixon sign in this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him on the call, but I'll reach out anyway. Mr. Dixon, are you on the line? Okay, apparently not. Is there any other citizens that would like to speak this morning? Chairman, being none, I turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Also, I just want to make a note to the citizens that we are in phase 1 in the county right now due to the surge of the Omicron and the Delta variant. So our work sessions are typically being held now anyway, virtually. And then of course, our legislative voting meetings have been, we've reverted back to virtual until further notice. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, we have our approval of the minutes tomorrow. I ask that you take a moment to review those minutes and be prepared to approve or deny accordingly. Board of Commissioners, we have a presentation this morning. Mr. David Good has a SPLOST update for us. Mr. Good, good morning, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy New Year to you and to the Board of Commissioners, to our staff, stakeholders, citizens, and business owners here in Douglas County. I'm going to be delivering to you guys the November revenue and work through December. So communications, thank you for starting it up. Next slide, please. And what you're going to see is you'll actually see our agenda. Our agenda, of course, brings up first the November revenues and then the work through December as mentioned. And then we talk about our projects through all 3 categories. Next slide, Rick. As you see, lately we've been seeing remain strong. It's and stronger. Our November revenues are $2,775,831, and that's a lot over our original projection. We're almost 700,000 over the original projection. If you end up taking in the whole time of our SPLOST, this is our second highest non-audit month. Only December of 2020 has been larger. And if you look at the revenue since the beginning of the program, it's $13,090,000 over the original projection. So again, our revenues are remaining strong, and thank you to the citizens and the business owners for actually pushing spending locally. Our chamber and our Board of Commissioners has always pushed for citizens to spend locally, and I'm seeing that's what's happening. Next slide, Rick. And then this is the original projection. This is a full year out. This month, again, is the second highest during this period. It's from going as high as 2.855 million to as low as 2.1 million. But every month has been over original projections of 2.07 million. Next slide, please, Rick. These are our December projects. Here's our ladder truck. Right now it's down there in the 10A plant here in Georgia. It's at a cost of $1,146,465. We're doing the final modifications And right now that we're expecting the delivery of that truck by the end of the month. Same thing for the 2020 ambulance at cost of $223,699. The final inspection is being due at one of our Georgia plants up there in Woodbury at Custom Truck and Body Works, and it's going to be delivered by the end of the month. One of the larger projects that we actually are sharing with the city is SR5, which is also on Bill at Douglas Boulevard. That's going to be northbound and then turning eastbound onto Douglas Boulevard going towards the mall. The estimated let date would be spring of this year. We have about 4 parcels left to acquire for the right of way. And then we also have the Libro Widening, which is the largest project that's on our SPLOS. It's for a total cost of $23,941,000. SPLOS piece is $10 million. And right now the construction project, which is awarded to CMES, is for $19,696,149. We're just waiting on the executed contract and notice to proceed. Next slide, Rick. We also have out is on Maxwell Road sidewalk. It's at $850,000. This was one of the projects that we moved up as a safety project because one of our citizens was killed on this roadway because of lack of us having a sidewalk. So now we are actually getting ready to execute that contract to the Corvair Group, and they actually are a local company right out here in Douglas County. And then finally, we have the Boundary Waters Activity Center. As you know, we did have the grand opening of it at a cost of $7.4 million. Right now, we're just waiting on getting the PA system and a flagpole installation. That all should be completed by the end of the month. I was out there and I saw the playground was almost completed. We're just waiting for the railings to end up opening up to the public, but it does look very nice. Next slide, Rick. And with that, that is the end of my presentation, and I'll open it up to the Board of Commissioners, and Terry Gable is here to answer any questions. And I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Good, and great presentation and a lot being done. And those numbers are very impressive. The overage of $13 million. That's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate our citizens participating in this SPLOS and also voting for it. Board of Commissioners, at this time, do you have any questions for Mr. Good or Mr. Gable regarding the SPLOS? I see you leaning in, Vice Chairman. There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, may I?
Yeah, you have the floor.
Thank you. Real quick, Mr. David Good, to Madam Chair's point, the $13 million. That's the aggregate overage from 2017 through year end 2021. Is that true?
Yes, not year end 2021, to the end of November 2021. You still have
all relative. So that's 5 years. 17 was what? 8 months. So 17, 18, 19, 21. 5 years. That's what, roughly, 2 million, 6 million and some change.
Yes, sir.
600. So it's really 3 million. Has that happened? That's on average, but in recent time, was that in the past couple of years that it spiked like that, or has it always been historically that average?
It spiked right around 2020, around April, May of 2020 is when it spiked, and then it spiked even harder come, I believe it was May of 2021 is when our numbers started getting up to 2.6 and 2.7. December has always been around 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. And only in August of 2020, when we had the audit, was it over 3 million.
Got you. Right. Two more questions. So 13 million over. So what was the original forecast? And you may not know this per se, but what was the original number that when we went to Wall Street, we went to New York, we told the analysts and we issued through Citigroup these bonds, and we told them we had a certain estimate on what we thought this SPLOS would generate. What is that baseline number?
Terry, I believe you have that number, correct?
Yes, Commissioners, I believe it was 147 million.
147 million, all right, for the record. And where are we at to date in aggregate? based on this year in comparison. So obviously we had every year we had an estimate to get to that 147. You know, how much you would generate per year. So this is the 5th year, give or take, going into the 5th year. Bond is paid off in April. Where are we at in the context of 147 million? What's totally generated so far?
So as David just mentioned, so we're at 120, say 127.
We're at 127. So we're 13 million above the 127. Is that accurate? Or that's the actual? I'm trying to, what?
That's actual. Then that's compared, that 13 million is above the 1% growth or the original projections that they estimate.
So 127. So we estimate probably about 114. We're at 127 in aggregate. Got it.
That's right.
I did that right. So 13 million. So you thank you, public, to that point Mr. Good made. And so you got 13 million, which is almost 10%, to your point, above and beyond. And where is that excess? What do we do with that excess?
So, and David, chime in if you want to. We have went back and through a process towards the end of 2021. Each department put together some projects. Some of them were the original projects that were in the program that needed some additional funding, and some projects are new that we went through a reforecast, and we've added those in with the program, and it's based on projections that we all agreed that we would use for the remainder of the program.
Correct. And the Board of Commissioners actually approved the reforecast of all 3 category areas: fire, EMS, Parks and Rec, and transit.
Recording in progress.
Commissioner, I foresee some of the construction, particularly in transportation, to go beyond 2023.
Okay. You've answered my question. I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair, I yield the floor.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chairman, and thank you again, Mr. Gableman. Mr. Good, any other questions, Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Guider?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. David, when did the legislature change it to where we could collect sales tax on internet sales?
I believe that was either 2020 or 2019.
That's
2020.
So that had something to do with the spike. And so we need to make sure we thank the legislature of Georgia for doing that, because it has certainly helped with the overage and everything. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of credit too. So thank you.
Right. And also feeding off of that, we also know that Congress did move during the time of the pandemic for citizens who either lost their job or due different reasons. The Congress moved in order to make sure that we receive, a stipend every year for everyone. So those 2 things combined with people finding ways of actually really making it at home, from Uber drivers or to anyone who's actually trying to do some different works. People found a way. The resilience of our citizens has really pushed this far. So I can't thank the citizens enough, and like Madam Guider said, the legislature for moving order us to collect those online sales. So thank you very much.
Very good. Any other questions, Board? Thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. We've had our period for the public comment. So I'm moving on to the next item. So I just want everyone to mute their mics, please. Okay. We have, Board of Commissioners, if you would take a look tomorrow, we have approval of expenses for our meeting tomorrow. And certainly would love for you to just look at those, and then we will approve or deny accordingly. Okay, next, Board of Commissioners, we have a resolution that comes before us, will be coming before us tomorrow. And the resolution is regarding setting qualifying fees for the 2022 county elections. Our Assistant County Administrator, Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, you have the floor just to brief the Board of Commissioners.
Published the qualifying fee that required is 3% of the base salary. And for the 2022 elections, those fees would be for the district commissioners of districts 1, 3, and 4. the Solicitor General, the Magistrate Judge, and the school board members of Districts 2, 3, and 4. For District Commissioners, the amount is $671.31. Solicitor General, the amount is $3,854.64. For Magistrate Judge, the amount is $2,643.29. And for school board members, the amount would be $619.86. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Assistant County Administrator. Board of Commissioners, you have any questions regarding these fees? Okay, if there are no questions, we're going to move on to our next item. Our next items are aligned with our business items. Board of Commissioners. Tab number 5 is Groove Park Preliminary Plat Certificate of Approval. Ron Roberts, our Manager of Planning and Zoning. Ron Roberts, you have the floor, and good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and Happy New Year to everyone. Phil Schaefer actually has this ready to pull up and discuss.
Had prior covenants and restrictions developed when it was originally approved. However, no final plat was ever recorded. So, Commissioner Robinson, for your purposes, I will get with the developer. There are some tweaks that they can make to the covenants so that they would comport with what you were after when we revised our text amendment this past month, so that I can at least incorporate some of your amended points in there going forward. And that way we can have a little bit better transparency on how this subdivision association will operate into the future. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Schaefer. Great job. This is another indication and a testament that this is the year of rebuilding, revamping, and revitalizing. So this is good music to my ears. Board of Commissioners, you have any questions regarding this Groove Park Preliminary Plat Certificate of Approval?
Madam Chair?
Vice Chairman Robinson.
No, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Phil, for bringing that point up. Obviously, our efforts last year regarding HOA reform, trying to improve things from transparency, from sharing the election results just to the point that it was just being made qualifying, transparency, and also publishing the financial condition is all important. Again, this is not an attempt to overreach, but encourage those individuals who enter into a covenant within your own communities that there is a standard. There's a need to be transparent. There's a need to share. And so I appreciate that. And to the citizens, we did what we said we were going to do. We're going to create an atmosphere, at least locally, to the extent that we can promote a better quality of life. All right, second point I want to make is Phil, or Ron, or James. In this community, we talked about subdivisions and pipe farms. And remind me whether 8 or 9 pipe farms that, I guess this was, Madam Chair, when we first came and took leadership. I remember Commissioner Moulter was very active in this, and I was at a town hall in Deer Lake, and the citizens got behind us, entered into an agreement with WSA to figure out how we can sort of bring them up to the code of 2009. Can y'all guys remind us the number of subdivisions that were part of, that we had identified, that were county-based, and is this the last one, or are all the pipes converted or in play?
So this is James Worthington. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
But I believe there were 8 different subdivisions. This is one of the last ones. There's one remaining that is still, it's got some sewer issues as far as outfall that were never really resolved. So there's one that's remaining that will still be unresolved at this point, but the rest have been pretty much completed. So I would definitely consider it a successful project.
Very good. So again, Madam Chair, we heard the citizens and we responded and we appropriated funding accordingly. It wasn't an ongoing operation. It was a one-time, let's fix what happened in the last Great Recession, the aftermath. David Good's point, Congress learned was you got to give something to the average citizen. You just build out the banks. And that's why we got 40% of our community is still renters. So they learned with the pandemic that, like, okay, we got to, what's in it for the little guy. And so this all is related.
Everyone, please mute your mics, please, everyone. Please mute your mics. Okay.
Thank you, Madam
Chair.
Yes, ma'am. No, and so this is a good point. But it came out of citizens. And again, we don't call it slum. We call it, thank you, Commissioner Mitchell, for your work of the state legislature, but we called it blight and blighted areas. And we didn't want these incomplete communities to remain, because that would have dragged on your values. You didn't, I mean, that was just sort of unsightly. But we had to make a decision as a board, else it would have been remaining to this day. So to my peers who all stood in the gap and joined in that decision, that was real. Now that's what citizens, that's what it means to be elected. It's not the traditional thing that it wasn't, we're just talking here. It's like, no, we made a real decision. And it was during a time when we didn't have the same financial condition that we got today. Think about it. That was what, 2-3 years ago. We weren't here, but we had to prioritize, and we thought that was important. It wasn't about internal and nice systems. It was about the citizens to make a difference. Think about it. I could take $1 million and buy a computer system, but I could take that same $1 million and retrofit 8 subdivisions. What's my point? It will always be the same. All right, that being said, last thing, Madam Chair, I'd like James, you guys used to publish a quarterly building permits, all those. It's a nice little report you used to put out quarterly. Can we get an updated one? And you may publish it. I just haven't seen it in a while. It's okay. But I'd like to get, for the full board, to get an update through 2021, or at least where you are right now. Maybe still you haven't got the results for 2021, but can we at least get through third quarter of 2021? Just, you know what I'm talking about, that report?
Sure.
Thank you. I think that's going to be important. So as we move forward, because we are coming back, Madam Chair, building, people are investing, small guys and big guys are investing in Douglas County, and we welcome them. Madam Chair, you go to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, we'll move on. All right, tab number 6 is authorization to approve the 2022 annual contract with the West Georgia Regional Library System for providing shared services in the amount of $40,000 in the library materials, computers, and software, in the amount of $330,000 for the Douglas County Public Libraries. The total amount is $370,000, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Director Lindy Moore, you have the floor. And thank you again, Manager Ron Roberts.
Good morning, everybody. This is our annual contract of library services for all 3 of our libraries. So standard routine.
Okay. It's routine, Board of Commissioners. You have any questions regarding this request? Okay. Thank you so much, Director Moore.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to tab number 7, approval to renew a contract with Atlas to provide continued SPLOST management in the amount of $775,070.39 to be funded through the 2016 SPLOST funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Our Deputy County Administrator, Fred Perry, you have the floor, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Board of Commissioners. Madam Chair, this is actually a restatement from the last commission meeting. I apologize for the incorrect amount that Atlas was requesting. This actually went through the process, but Vice Chair, rightfully so, asked for this to be back on the agenda for the right amount to be published to the public and to the Board of Commissioners. That amount is exemplified on this agenda. The actual original negotiated fee was $670,998, and that was mistakenly put on the last agenda. The correct amount that Atlas is requesting is $775,070.39. And both David Good and Terry Gable and myself are on the call, and we are here for any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Deputy County Administrator. Any questions, Board of Commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Okay, Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'll keep going. Yeah, and to the full board, including Madam Guider for standing and said we need to do a reconsideration of this. And I want to bring up the point. to the earlier conversation regarding our SPLOS, the 13 million above and beyond, the Board of Commissioners have gone down the list, things that were not originally intended to be part of this SPLOS, but the next one, but nonetheless, it's been successful. So what are you going to do with that source of funding? We got a list as long. I mean, yeah, I appreciate the internal list of 34 million, but we got 773 million outside the county just for roads, right? So to the citizens. So again, prioritizing. So in this case, I'm going to need Dr. Valentine, this Director Valentine, Doctor. You might as well be, but Director Valentine to step up. I've got a question very related because it seems like, as I heard earlier, transportation is probably the primary area in which projects were added to the list. And so I want to understand, has there been a price differential on the projects themselves? That's my first question. In other words, what are you seeing coming in now based on today's environment? Are we adjusting accordingly? Can you weigh in, Director Valentine?
Yes, certainly. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The reforecast had a list of projects that essentially we anticipate getting into the design phase. So we will not be experiencing the construction impact necessarily. That said, the projects that we have bid and received bids back on have generally tracked a little higher than the original estimate. And we anticipate that that will continue. So it is going to be something that we'll continue to have to monitor because as much as we would like to move all of the projects forward, we're going to have to be judicious to make sure that projects can be completed as we move forward.
Right. So with that expectations, we do have some projects in the design phase. This is for the public sake, but because of some degree of price inflation, whether it's labor, whether it's materials, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6%. At some point, it'll impact us, which means that the value of that dollar is going to shrink. That's what inflation is, going to shrink, the value of the exchange for it. So that being said, can you validate for us the statements that were made earlier regarding the SPLOS, which is there will be projects that will go over beyond this contract. This is why we're here. In other words, this contract, they're being, I guess, Atlas, Russell are asking for an increase of roughly about 4% to manage projects that were never on the list, but they're now on the list at a greater magnitude. How long will these go beyond April 2023 in your mind? Just transportation, that's all I want to speak to.
Well, some of the projects that would get into the design phase now will probably take about a year to go through design. So we're going to be into pretty much the end of the current SPLOS on the design phase. And based on the scope of the project, the size, magnitude, we're probably going to be looking at perhaps a couple of years past this current SPLOS to get those projects fully completed, assuming that we have the funding available for all.
Okay. All right. And the last point is, all right, I'm going to go back to the 09 SPLOS. You just said it's project that it's a single item. It was one building. It came in on time, on budget, but it was a singular project. This has 84 projects versus that one. So that was easier to manage. It had a program manager that came in. Once the project was over, we neatly tied it all. This is a different animal. This is multiple projects where some of them are going to go beyond this contract. So here's my question. And I don't know if staff, deputy administrator, you had a conversation with Atlas and Russell regarding this element, which is, okay, but we got 4 months that's sort of like till in for this SPLOS period. It was a fixed contract. It was a program. It did run 6 years to length of our SPLOS. What is the cost differential to pick up that last 4 months and be done with this? Where are you at with that? Because that's only going to be about a quarter worth of time, but this thing is going to keep going. I'm not trying to get ahead of the contract, but I want the board to recognize, okay, guys, you got this little tail. And so that's the first point. And the second point is, if we cut off this SPLOS by design, we're supposed to turn it off on April. The 2016 SPLOS will be turned off on April of 2023. What happens? So how do we reconcile this moment? This is not neatly because it's going to keep going. So first things first, existing contract runs from April 2023. What's on the table is through the end of this year. How do we reconcile those last 4 months? Anybody? Deputy?
And Vice Chair, from what I gather from the renewal notice that Atlas submitted, all of that will be reconciled, and they've submitted an amount $104,075 over the initial negotiated fee. That would cover the reforecast. And Terry, you correct me if I'm wrong. That would cover the reforecast, the additional projects that were added to the SPLOS, as well as additional hours that their staff will be required to work. Is that correct, Terry?
Yes, and just to clarify,
Tab number 8. Tab number 8 is authorization to enter into professional services contract with Piper O'Brien Air Architects for programming assessments for the Douglas County Courthouse and proposed administration building in the amount of $38,000 to be funded through the contingency, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Deputy County Administrator Perry, you have the floor to brief the Board of Commissioners.
Yes, Madam Chair, and thank you. This was brought to the Board of Commissioners during the latter part of 2021. We also have Mr. Holmes, Hamilton Holmes, on the line to talk us through again, just as an update. They were put forth to do some spacing, to look at the spacing within the courthouse, and kind of give us an idea of what our needs would be moving into the future. And the $38K is the cost that was put forth in 2021. That's also that cost has not changed. We'll go into the funding source. I do want to yield the floor to Mr. Hamilton Holmes so that he can dig deeper and give us a little bit more information on this project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Perry. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and County Commissioners and staff and other people on the call. I think you all may remember that a few weeks ago, I came in front of you at that point to share a study proposal to do basically a needs assessment for the new administration building. And during that interaction at that time, you all asked us to come back with an updated proposal to include a study of the current courthouse needs assessment as well. So we did that and resubmitted it, and that's the amount that Mr. Perry just mentioned, the $38,000. So what that basically will cover is an opportunity for us to work with Douglas County to do an assessment of the current courthouse, and also to do an assessment of a potential future new administrative building that you all may need. Again, just to refresh some people's memories, our understanding right now is that you have the courthouse employees and administrative staff all working in the same building. And we've been told that the quarters are sort of cramped there, and you may need to look at some new space to provide for the new administrative building, to move some people there, which will then also certainly provide some additional space for the courthouse as well. So Douglas County is growing a lot. I grew up in Southwest Atlanta, and I know that Douglas County certainly has changed over the years in terms of the number of people that live out there. And with all the growth you have, you need to certainly take a look at some spatial needs for your staff, and to be able to better serve the citizens of the county as well. So essentially what we would do, just quickly, I'll cover this. This would provide us an opportunity to meet with your staff that would be working in the courthouse or on the administrative side, to give them an opportunity to provide us with direct feedback. We also would do an assessment of the current building to see if there are any ways to improve the layout or just the functionality of the building as well. And then on the back end, we would provide you with some documentation to help verify and confirm the size of the new building that you would potentially consider for the new administrative building. I believe that you all may recall there was a rendering presented, I believe, at a retreat that you had a couple of months ago. So our firm actually designed that, and I believe that was shared with you at that time. So that's just a rough idea of what the building could look like. But again, we would be able to document the actual size and provide you with a space study and needs assessment based on both buildings. So I think that pretty much covers most of it. Don't want to talk too long here this morning, but certainly if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer those for you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamilton Holmes. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions for Mr. Holmes at this time regarding this spatial assessment?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And again, the county is growing, and I do acknowledge it. And in order for us to make wise decisions or take up any consideration, you need data, you need information. And I appreciate what this exercise is going to provide for consideration. It doesn't guarantee action, but it does, like, when you need something to decide on. So I appreciate the exercise. This was part of the budget process that the board approved 5-0. I appreciate you guys allowing this to lie, and so this will help us move forward. Second point, I would encourage, Madam Chair, as Deputy Administrator, as well as yourself, that you, if you're in talking about the current courthouse, that there's an assemblage of, a steering committee, like before, back in 1998, during the 90s, I had a chance to talk to Chief Judge Emerson and how we came about, what was that process they went through to consider the needs, moving from the courthouse over there on veterans to our current one. And that's a long time ago, and we've grown. But I'm trusting that, obviously, I would encourage you to reach out to our new Chief Judge, Judge Bo McLean, and obviously the other assorted judges and prosecutors and anybody else who remain there, and get them involved in what spatial planning should be. Make it formal, but allow them to guide that process. I think that's important. Obviously, you guys will handle administrative needs accordingly, so I'm not worried about that. But I want to make sure that as he goes about this, that it's not just the admin that's trying to frame what the judicial side needs. You need to talk to them directly as part of this, and I'm sure that's all I ask. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Any other forward?
Ms. Jones, if I could just respond quickly to Vice Chairman Robinson there, that certainly is the format that we're going to follow. We're going to take the county's lead and work with you all directly to make sure that we talk to all the stakeholders on the court side and the admin side that would be involved to make sure that we provide you with a thorough analysis and some information, as you mentioned, to be able to move forward and make additional decisions at that point.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Holmes, for the comment. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Holmes or Deputy County Administrator Perry? Okay, thank you again, Mr. Holmes. We appreciate you coming in, and we're looking forward to this assessment.
Okay, great. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this morning.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. All right, Board of Commissioners, we're going to move on to our next tab, which is tab number 9. Approval for a new agreement with Image Trend in the amount of $1 million, or I guess it's $1,750 to be funded by the fire department budget for the E911 computer aided dispatch, which is called our CAD system upgrade, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Fire Chief Jolivet, you have the floor.
First of all, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Vice Chairman Terry Carthon. Thank you, our honorable Board of Commissioners. Thank you, colleagues. And last but not least, I want to thank our citizens for allowing us to serve them. Basically, the CAD system is going through an upgrade right now. And it went from an old tower system to a new server that will affect all of our PCs. And what we're doing is part of that upgrade is going to require Image Trend to be upgraded as well. And Image Trend, it serves us for our tracking system, help with responses, help with our data and also it gives us real-time locations on hydrants, and also it supports the industry and supports the CAD system. So we're asking that we get approval to do a new agreement with Image Trend as it relates to the CAD system. You know, that is it costs $1,750, and that's all we have on that issue. Any questions?
Any questions, board, at this time? For Fire Chief? Thank you, Fire Chief. That's pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to move on to tab number 10, approval of the amended Huzzy Gay bail fee proposal for the fire station number 9 to include an additional critical survey fee in the amount of $11,500 that was omitted in the initial proposal approved by the Board of Commissioners to be funded through the current SPLOST funding, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Chief Jolivet, you have the floor again.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, citizens. Basically, we had 8 architecture firms that submitted proposals for the Station 9 project, and Husky Gay Bell was awarded the proposal by the board, and we didn't look at the actual fee what they was charging. We looked at the evaluation team that was put together by myself and James Worthington and Mr. Perry and several others. We looked at their qualifications, their experience, their involvement with their personnel, whether they had diversity and inclusion, their ability to meet schedules, innovation, their financial status. We chose Husky Gay Bell, and but as a result of choosing them, they left out a key survey and utility location piece of the evaluation. And initial contract was for $259,700, and they're with this added survey and utility location fee, they're asking for $11,500 to be considered by the board. We're excited to be able to get this project moving, and Mr. Gable has given us a timeline from Buster Gay Bell that they're excited about getting started. Just need to do those key surveys and utility locations. So we want to bring it back to the board and see if we get some consideration on moving it forward.
Thank you so much, Chief Jolivet. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions regarding this item? Husky Gay Bell fee proposal for you. Commissioner Guider, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chief Jolivet. Would this have affected the outcome of the bid letting? The mistake that this company made, was it also left out of the original specifications?
No, ma'am. We discussed that with the team, and basically the fee that they charged was not a consideration. They mainly looked at their experience, their qualifications, and they still hit everything out the park compared to the other people that submitted, other companies. So that wasn't the factor. That particular survey piece, it was omitted on their part. And Mr. Gable, are you on the line, Mr. Gable?
Yeah, yes, Chief.
You want to add to that? Clarity?
Yes, yeah, I will. So, Commissioner, we originally asked for an RFQ, which was just their qualifications, and as the Chief did a good job of going through that. All the candidates were just scored on their qualifications and their experience, and all of us were, I think, very pleased with Husky Gay Bell. So once we finished that portion of it, and the committee agreed on moving forward with it, we entered into the contract and the negotiation for the fee. And Husky Gay Bell, that's when they provided us their first proposal fee. And surveys do vary. There's several different types of surveys that can be done on projects. Some are specific in what they need. Some projects, based on their impact and severity, may not need a survey. So that probably led to some of it. But they did apologize. It was just an oversight in the original fee proposal. We caught it when they had submitted the contract. It was shown in their the things that were exempt from their proposal. They weren't trying to hide anything. It just didn't get put in this particular fee proposal, and it was certainly needed, and they knew that. But that's kind of the background on it, and Chief said we're ready, excited to move forward with it at the board's pleasure, and once we get this approved.
So let me just reiterate what I think I heard, okay? And you correct me if I'm wrong. You put an RFQ out there for qualifying to do the job. You never put the proposal out there for bid.
I misstated that one. It was RFQ.
That's true. We didn't ask. There were like 8 or 9 firms that submitted, and we did not ask, or the procurement director at the time, Don Evers, did not. That was not part of it, like the chief said. None of the firms submitted a price.
Okay.
The only thing they submitted was qualification.
Okay. So this company was chosen strictly on their qualifications and not their proposal to do the job.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and we're not required to bid it out.
Well, now this is just for the design. So
This is just for the, okay.
This is just for the design, and it was we bid out. We will get to that phase. That would be construction.
Okay, I just did not understand that this was just for the design.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Architect and design.
This is
Okay.
architectural services and design.
All right. Well, thank you for explaining that to me. Just wanting to make sure we weren't doing something that we should not be doing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Carter, and thank you so much, Mr. Gable. And Chief, first of all, let me scan the room and see if the Board of Commissioners have any questions for you, Chief Jolivet, regarding this request. Okay, there are no further requests. We're going to go on to our next item, which is tab number 11. You have that as well, Chief. Authorization to use $100,000 from the $296,255 in line item 38.3100, and that is a sub-account out of your cost center, just for the understanding of our citizens. So you can fund recruitment and retainment initiatives of the DARE paramedic situation, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Chief Jolivet, if you could explain this to the Board of Commissioners. This is coming by way of our Fire and EMS Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, colleagues, and citizens. Basically, as we all know, with all the upticks in COVID and all the need for the medical professionals, clinicians, we're experiencing a shortage in paramedics, and hospitals, private, and also public are recruiting paramedics because the nurses are not available to meet demand. So the paramedics right now, they're being recruited violently. They're being sought out, So we did our market research. We did research of other departments and see what they were doing in terms of recruitment and retention. And we found that we could offer something that was budget neutral, stuff we had in our budget already that would get us started. Not only get us started, but thank you for the raises that were given to our paramedics and our first responders. That helped out tremendously with this as well. But this project here is proposal is to do a recruitment. It'd be like a monthly bonus, and it'll pay as you go. It won't cow hands anything, and it'll give us opportunity to attract some paramedics that are paramedic firefighter. And like I said, we have a critical need right now for paramedics and also the retention piece. We have about 6 paramedics that are with us right now in school. They're not paramedics, they're EMTs. They're in school and they're getting ready to graduate, and they've been having to pay out of their pocket to attend the certification course for paramedic. So this would be an opportunity to offer a bonus to reimburse them for their initiative and then their certification. And like I said, we would do like a monthly stipend. The initial payment would be $400, and then after that, monthly $200, and it would cap out at about $5,000. So it will be sustainable over a period of time. And
I know
Recording in
sometimes we
progress.
utilize acronyms, and I just want to assist our citizens were aware as well. Okay, any questions, board commissioners? Good morning, Commissioner Carthen. I love just looking at the cameras, and you have the floor, Commissioner Carthen.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Chief Jolivet.
good morning.
First of all, thank you for thinking outside the box. I know I had heard, and I'm not sure if I was talking to you or another one of the deputy chiefs about the shortage and about hospitals filling away our requiring EMS men and women because they could pay more, and there's a shortage. And there's a shortage across the United States, not just in the fire departments, but in the hospitals, doctors' offices that I worked for. I mean, I've had to go in and help out people. So it's critical shortage everywhere. And so I thank you for thinking outside the box. My only question to you is, given these bonuses or incentivizing people to stay on, how do we maintain, like, moving forward? How do we build a culture where it's not just about money? Because we can keep throwing money at everything, and but after a while we're gonna run out of money. After a while, you're not gonna have 33, 100. We have to raise the military. We have to do something else in order to sustain that. Have you all thought about that in the office? What other perks or what incentives can we do out besides monetary? And then my second question to you is, how do we know once someone graduates from the EMS or paramedic school, we're helping them to get their certification, but that they don't go somewhere else? So are we tying any metrics, or are we tying anything into a contract that says, hey, we're investing in you and we believe in you. We want you to stay around, but we need some guarantees on your end as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Vice Chairman Carthen. 2 great questions. The first one is we are changing our culture. We're changing our culture. We have a brand new mission statement, vision, strategic goals, and values, and we are instilling those into our personnel. We're changing our environment. We let them know we're more transparent. We let them know how important they are. And also, it's all about the patch. We talk about the patch every single day. The patch is, we do the education piece, let them know it's community, internal as well as external stakeholders. And we're getting buy-in. I mean, it looks good to have buy-in and have that relationship building that's taking place around here. And people are staying around because they want to be a part of it. And also, we push out benefits. We have the best benefits package in the country. And so we push that benefit package to education. But more importantly, we're just building relationship building. And it's working. I mean, it's working. People are they're planting their flags, and they're hanging around. They want to be a part of something big. And I always tell them it's not about one individual, but it's about the patch and about taking care of our community. So that is working. Our rate of people leaving has slowed down, and they're excited about all the good changes and things we're doing. And without the Board of Commissioners and the leadership that you all are bringing to us, everybody's excited. I mean, excited about the equipment, good equipment to have. Like I said, good relationship building is working good. And the other part is on the anytime we do any kind of training in-house, they have to do a agreement that they would pay those funds back, or they'll be responsible for the training funds that we're doing. But the paramedics right now, they're doing the training outside the department, and rather than have a contract with them, we'll do the monthly we recommend the monthly bonus. And if they leave during that time frame, we won't really have anything for it monetarily tied to them because it would be a month-to-month basis. But we're trying different innovative approaches to make sure that we make our environment appealing, exciting, and it's working. And we're only able to do that because of our things that are happening on our leadership above us and all. And so we're excited about it, and we do have a plan. But one thing about our plan is it's constantly being evaluated. We're evaluating it and making sure it's working. And like we say, we have to have something to measure. And as you always say, Vice Chairman, if we can't really define it, we can't really measure it. So we're measuring it. We have the data that's backing us up, and it's exciting times to be in Douglas County and also at the fire department. So we don't want to just talk the talk. We are really walking the walk over here at the fire department, and the people are excited about it. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chief Jolivet. I yield, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Chair.
Commissioner Guider was next, and then Commissioner Guider, you have the floor.
I'll be short. Chief, how many slots are you short as far as EMTs and just for the firemen have to be EMTs, so and paramedics?
We are updating that list. I have some exciting news. We are on the 22nd. We're promoting 2 more lieutenants and 8 sergeants. And we have a hiring group that's coming in on the 24th that are already certified. So we're updating that list. As y'all know, we lost Michelle Mahaney to another department closer to home. But Miss Austin, are you on the line?
Yeah,
I am.
Paula, do you have that current data? We're updating it right now, but I know we are down in terms of paramedics, roughly about 12, 13, 14 slots.
Let me get that information for you. Hold on, please.
But we are tracking that data, but the exciting news is we're doing something about it. And like I said, we have about 6 people that are EMTs right now in paramedic school that are getting ready to graduate, and they're asking me about incentives and stuff like that, because they're being recruited. People are calling them, so y'all getting ready to graduate, come over here, but they're sticking to home base. But Paul will give you the exact numbers on our EMTs and paramedics.
Okay, while she's looking that up, could you tell me about the 4 vehicles that you've had on order for a long time for a Roman paramedic?
Yes, ma'am. The QRV vehicles that, thank for the board for approving, they are in the works. We don't have the exact time frame on them, but they are actually they have been ordered. We have POs for them, and we're just waiting on them to come in. And due to the chip shortage and all the other issues that are happening, we have them in the approval phase, and we're waiting on them to come in so they can help us out.
Do you have any estimated time to receive them? Have they given you an update? It's been going on for months, and I know you don't have anything to do with it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
what we've been doing. We've been, like I said, been innovative in trying to find some of our vehicles we have on hand that could serve that purpose. So we did a study that we're just finishing up with, where we took an older vehicle and put medical supplies in it, and it's going to be a success when we get those vehicles in. So I'll be able to get current data on it, but it's hard to get exact time frame. But we're actually working on it, and I'm excited about those vehicles coming in. They're going to really help us out. We're going to change our model. We're working with our medical director to get more BLS ambulances and then have those QRVs serving in the field as a supervisor, paramedic vehicles that can respond all over the county and help us out. So it's a lot going on, but we're on top of it, and it's happening. We're looking forward to 2022 of providing good services to our citizens.
and I look forward to being back on the Fire and EMS committee with co-chairing with Chairman Jones. So that's where my heart is anyway. So That way I can stay up to date and won't have to ask you so many questions in the meeting. So, so did Paula get the information, or is she going to just send it to us or whatever?
Yes, I do have the information.
Okay.
As of a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, the 16th of December, we have 26 non-medic openings. That includes firefighters and EMTs, and 16 paramedic openings.
But you've got 6 paramedics about to graduate. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And we actually just hired, and we just hired a paramedic that's going to start on the 24th. So we're doing all we can to attract and get some paramedics in because we really need.
Well, the 26 non-medical, you've got some people coming down the pipeline that's going, I guess, to school now that's going to graduate. Did you say?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how many were they?
Yes, ma'am. We have about 12 to 14 in the firefighter school that they're getting ready to graduate soon. And then we have about 10 to 12 people in medical getting ready to graduate soon. So we're excited about that, and we've strengthened our firefighter training and also our medical training, and so we're it's like a battlefield, and we're throwing things at it and being innovative, and it's working. And so we like I said, we're looking forward to 2022.
Okay.
We're gonna step into it and continue to provide good service to our community.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Madam Chair, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just listening to all this love for the fire and EMS, and it's a great thing because it's a special thing here in the county. But to that point, with 2 points of clarity, because I appreciate the qualitative side. Let me get to the point. All right, so first is Director Miller out there, Rosalind Miller, Madam Chair. I need her to come forward. I'll get to this later when I get into the budget verification process. She's the one-off.
Yes, she's here.
All right. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. All right, I got a quick question for you. So, first, did everybody? I guess today is payday. Did everybody get their raises today? Yes or no? The adjustment that the board made, was it effective this paper?
That's correct, Vice Chair. It was effective today.
Today. All right. So remind me, 10% across the board for public safety.
Correct.
Which is 7 units, including fire units. So it's all of them got that special. And then everybody else got the 5%? Yes?
That's correct.
And the minimum wage kicked in and everybody was brought up at least to a minimum. And I'm gonna take away overlap for a second. I'm making a point. So it may be some overlap. Go ahead, finish. Yes?
Yes, sir.
They were brought up. All right. So again, the board's commitment to our work. Right. So, but our work is not done. Yeah, that was just sort of a first step to try to get us where we need to do, get us where we need to be. Obviously, a decade or so, you can't make it all back. But we are trying to recalibrate culture through incentives, through training to make people want to work here. But this also ties to performance. And Chief, yeah, I know you perform. And so when you say the word metrics, and that sometimes you leave that out, but that's the tell. You guys perform, man. And so I'd like to want to see more about, like, okay, do you share your metrics? I mean, the way you talk about that we hadn't had before. Don't leave that on the table. I mean, your performance is far enough. I mean, it's just, your command of that is important. It's not the soft side story. Like, yeah, we're going to do that, but you're performing. Performance gets my attention to support something. Great storyline, great dialogue. I get that. everything else is too, but yet you're performing. So I appreciate that you're getting a baseline and say, okay, this is why we're going to the next level. Don't get me wrong, you actually perform. So I wanted to just make that point. But I also want to acknowledge everybody else, make sure that we are, this is not alone. Now, again, we get retention. We're an employees market. It is what it is right now. This is an employees market. And obviously everybody's competing and everybody else has the same thing that they're sending their groups. It's always going to be somebody bigger, badder, taller, stronger. Always. It's a false argument if you try to swing at that and use that as a constant argument. But I'm saying in this case, but you guys perform. And so to Madam Carthen's point, Vice Chair-elect is, yeah, but you know, that incentive is that there's other things that we have to move as a lever. Training, other type of accommodations. Yeah, but I get the money. I know I get the front side, that sweetener, that signing bonus, that's something to get me in the door. But and I know right now we're just trying to fill a threshold, and it sounds like you guys have creatively figured out how to sustain this. And I'll bring this up in our finance committee later today, as I take that helm on how to look at this. How do you sustain something over time?
Yes.
And so, I mean, again, over time. So I just want to make that comment. Great. All good. There's no hesitance in me per se. I just want to look at the numbers a little bit deeper as far as what are we really saying. It looks like you guys have worked that out. But make sure you share performance. You actually do a great job. And nobody really gets to see it. But the way you talk about it, the way you can measure, the way you like, okay, you came in, you knew like, okay, guys, wait a minute, hold on. ISO, all this, like, you need to say that.
Yes, sir.
Tell the public. And so it's not just a soft story that like, no, like yours, like, look, I don't know about everybody else, but this is how we work. I would just encourage you to do that. Madam Chair, I just want to make my comment. No further issues. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
All
should
right.
so much, Commissioner Robinson. Chief Jolivet, for the sake of just for the public's knowledge, is Lieutenant Farmer available with all those stats that we provided the other day regarding what's going on, our number of calls and things that are related to demonstrate our performance? If not, I'm gonna move on, and if I'll pivot back to you so she could provide an update. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, the next one is yours too. So, but meanwhile, Stacy could be preparing that information for us. Tab number 12 is authorization to hire a grant writer in the amount of $3,000 for the grant writer plus 1% to the grant writer if the grant is received to assist in acquiring a staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, which is called SAFER grant, to meet our newly proposed Station 9 staffing needs and to assist in meeting the National Fire Protection Association, which is NAPA, 1710 minimum manning requirements, and to have the chairman sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Fire Chief Jolivet, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask Ms. Paula to check with Ms. Stacy and make sure she's available to help us out with that report.
Okay.
And moving on to we talk about the SAFER grant. We are forecasting, we're thinking outside the box, and what we're looking at is $560 million that's available to organizations that can meet the citizen need. And right now, we have the right narrative and we have the right story that would benefit from this $560 million, because we're building a new fire station for our community in Station 9. And this will help with our staffing needs. We did a staffing plan and we came up with a number of personnel that we're going to need to serve our citizens. And that number is right around 45 people. So when you add the base salary and you add the benefits and times that by 45, we're looking at anywhere from 3.5 to $4 billion. So what we're doing is we're asking the board to consider authorization for a grant writer. A good friend of mine, a colleague, I do peer review for FEMA. I've been doing it for years, and this guy is he hit the ball at the park every time, and he helped us get the ladder grant that we have recently received, AFG grant 1.2 mil, and he's offering to help us out and for amount of $3,000, and so we're looking to see can we get with his services. We got the call from Miss Tiffany Stewart Stanley about the grants and availability, and I hate it's a time sensitive issue, but the deadline for the grant is applying for it is February 4th, and the good thing about it is there's no match. So if we get that pre-prior planning, making our community safe, and it's a humbling experience because when I came in, the team didn't feel like we could do it, and we done it and exceeded the goal, and we haven't said a word about it. We've just been celebrating inside and taking care of our services. So we're going to be putting something out to our community so they'll know we're working to take care of their needs. Ms. Stacy, are you there yet?
Maybe she'll be coming on in
She
just.
says she's trying to log on.
Okay.
There she is.
Okay.
Stacy? Doesn't appear that she's got any
What
sound.
what we're doing also, we've started a professional credentialing division, and Stacy is heading that up. So we're going to be getting international credentialing as well as our national credentialing, and we're doing a succession plan for all our members. And what they're doing is they're updating their credentials, and by doing that, what the commissioners did was funding those raises. That really helped us out in terms of credentialing our members. So we're excited about it. And what Stacey's going to tell you is our numbers are up in terms of responses. So we are doing a great job with them. Last year, we did over 21,000 calls for our citizens, and that's a history making responses because we busted 20,000 call mark. We exceeded that to 21,000, and we do a CQI program, which is continuous quality improvement. And any issue that we have, we address it right away through responsiveness and getting back with our citizens. So the citizens are happy, and everything is going great for us. It's not all peaches and cream, but we're working at it. And Stacy may have some problems, so to keep from belaboring, we'll just send some out to the commissioners so they can pass on to the constituents.
That'll be sufficient, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. And also just to make sure to tout your new newsletter, which is called The Blaze, and that goes out to all the citizens. It's amazing. Board of Commissioners, we have certainly discussed, but thank you so much again, Chief. We've discussed our approval of our expenses. Please be prepared to approve or deny accordingly tomorrow. And then we have one discussion item, which is budget verification process, and certainly this discussion will be led by our finance chairman, which is Commissioner Robinson, and you have the floor, and Commissioner Guider is our vice chair of the finance committee this year. So congratulations to the two of you all. Vice Chair Robinson, you have the floor right now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I look forward to it. We're going to have some fun. To that point, this is just, and to my peers, you guys know, I'm letting you know what we're going to be doing. I won't make this long because we want to have our first finance meeting at 2:00 today to discuss the budget verification process that we all agreed by consensus that we set forth the Deputy Administrator to go and aggregate with the Director of Finance anything that we need to consider regarding this year's budget. This was across the board. This just wasn't about elected or any type of special circumstance. We just, did we miss something? We're going to go back to transparency and back to the Chief's point. Right? We're good about highlighting transparency for negative things, but we are not as transparent about the things that we do well. I always say, like, we don't talk enough about recognizing it's okay to, like, we did well. And so anyway, back to transparency. So one of the things that we experienced in this year's budget process, which as you know, I won't stop for 2 years and 354 days about what we just experienced. We didn't have enough visibility. And it's just something that I was uncomfortable with. And to everybody that all of our budgetary heads that went through the process, well, most of it was the same from a board member, and only from my perspective, that we've done way better than that. We owed you better than that. Communication I had no data. I just had no data, so I had no confidence in what we were dealing with. That being said, there was a process that we asked for all department heads selected, look at their budgets since they went live about 2 Sundays ago, and come back and reconcile. I won't get into it now because it'll be revealed to us in finance. I just want to let the board know that the intent is to see what was submitted, not to get ahead of it. Let's take it into the committee and come out at and bring forth, here are the facts. I'm not suggesting that there's any action that needs to be taken. Obviously, there's two times that the board typically will amend the budget. The first, take grants away for a minute. But there's the revisit. I'm going to go back to the old BR budget improvement request, which is to ask you reconcile at the end of the year. You find yourself with more revenue than you need to match your expenses. That is the time in which will be a formal entry point. Without someone off because I'm special, but because everybody has a chance to be considered. So that's in April. Close books in March, and revisit, that's the time. The second time of an amendment of a budget is obviously during the military time, which is around August or so. And we may, as a board, choose to make some type of amendment and address expenses, etc. Those are like 2 formal entry points to amend the budget. To set the budget, that's obviously at the end of the year. Right? So I know that new Vice Chair Lake talks about look, like with me, you need to normalize things. Like, let's get a standard process. We've done well by our employees, but we'll get better. But I hear it, so let's see if we hold it to it. But with this budget verification, it was more of a not as an entry point to take action, but no, I just didn't know what was going on. You guys are right out there, and we would never let that happen again. At least I won't while I'm here. That we will always have transparency, as we've had for 13 years. That the board always had detail. That they were always prepared at any given moment to be able to get something, and that we don't have to wait till the day of our first meeting to know what was in the budget that we adopted. So, Madam Chair, I won't belabor this. We'll just take it up in finance. Me and my vice chair, the 4th District Commissioner, Ann Jones-Guider, will sit down. Rosin, Director Miller, you'll take us through whatever came in, and we'll come back to the board as is, not necessarily to make a recommendation, but this is a budget that we all set. And so we all collectively will choose what action we will take, if anything. And if you choose to move, great. I just wanted to make that point. And I'm sure that's it. Let's get on out of this and let everybody go and get to where we got to get to. I yield the floor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Chairman, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Any other discussion regarding budget verification board? Thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson, Vice Chair, for providing this update for us. I stand to be corrected. I want to make sure for the citizens and also to the Board of Commissioners, our legislative meeting is not tomorrow. I guess I'm just in the mindset of Monday, Tuesday. Our legislative voting meeting will be next Tuesday, which is January the 18th at 6 p.m. So I apologize. Just wanted to make sure everyone made a note of that. All right, if there's nothing else, Board of Commissioners, if there's no more discussion, I've certainly, Attorney Coleman, I'm going to touch bases with you to see if there's a need to go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I would like to request a very brief executive session to discuss real estate matter as well as potential litigation.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Coleman.
Madam Chair,
All right. Vice Chair Robinson, you have the floor.
I also would like to discuss add personnel to it as well.
Yes. Okay. All right. Attorney Coleman, want to add personnel as well?
And personnel, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, citizens, we will take the Board of Commissioners and I will engage in an executive session. Could everyone mute their mics, please? And we will be gone temporarily and we will return shortly. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion in a second. When I call your districts, please respond accordingly. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
Chairman, yes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote to go into an executive session and the motion carries. Lisa, our clerk, take it from here with instructions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You should get a
The Board of Commissioners, we just ended our executive session and we're back, but certainly I would be remiss not to just update our citizens. I would love Stacy Farmer, who our Lieutenant Farmer has joined us, and I want her, the citizens, to hear the extensive body of work that's taken place as a result, not only because of the Omicron and the Delta variant, but as our population is steadily growing here in Douglas County. Lieutenant Farmer, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. If you could just provide an update regarding our statistics for the Fire and EMS Committee, that would be great, and allow our citizens to hear what's going on.
Sure, I've got some updated COVID numbers, and we also just published our 2021 end of the year report for EMS, so I could give you some of that information as well. As far as COVID is concerned, we saw an uptick in COVID cases in our community, started about January 1. And that's continued. We haven't started on the downward slope as far as community spread goes. We're still running about 11%. But of course, that impacts our staffing. So staffing, we've got workforce shortages, which the chief has mentioned. But we had a peak about 2 weeks ago where we had 40 of our staff were on some type of COVID isolation or quarantine precaution. High 20s of our staff were actually COVID positive. And that put us into the CDC category for a workforce crisis, which honestly a lot of organizations in healthcare are in that strategy tier now. We are still in a crisis strategy mode. Fortunately, our COVID numbers for our staffing look better right now. But again, with the community spread still being at 11%, it just takes a couple of our individuals becoming positive. And let me say too, with our responses in the field, we have appropriate PPE levels, so it's not a PPE or a policy issue. But a lot of times it is, spreading at home or spreading, in the station. So we see that kind of secular occurring. So that's kind of where we're at with our COVID numbers. Our staffing levels look great right now, but we have not seen a reduction in community spread. And with the number of patients we're transporting, a good portion of those are COVID positive. On the high end, we were running, I think August, September last year was when we had high numbers for contacts with community and patients that we were transporting that were positive. That was running about 140, 150. In December, we saw that go up to 89 as we made that upward trend. And then right now for January, we've had 39 positive cases that we've transported and been notified about. So that's our COVID numbers. Is there any questions or?
Any questions for Bernice? Report? Okay.
And as far as our annual reporting goes, and again, we just recently got this published. Overall call volumes went up by 10% from 2020 to 2021. So we ended 2021 with 21,434 responses. 70% of those were EMS. So that's a pretty high statistic. It's been the trend though for at least the last 15 years. As far as issues or things we're working on the EMS side of response, wall times, we're still struggling with wall times, which is how long our crews are having to wait for hospital staff to receive our patient. And it's significant as far as the numbers go. If you were to add the time of, we spent 11 weeks worth of time, our EMS ambulance is holding the wall of the hospital. So it's pretty significant. We have a meeting with our hospital partners tomorrow, again, to try to troubleshoot some of these issues. We're also having issues with our mutual aid responders. Typically, we have mutual aid contracts with other agencies, so if we're busy, they'll pick up that load. But what has been the trend going through the COVID upticks is our mutual aid partners are just as busy as we are. So we are all doing the best we can to help each other out. But that's definitely been an issue. And our staff, we really have some strong-willed staff, but rescue fatigue is a real thing, and you start running high COVID numbers with responders, it does have an impact. So those are all things that we are aware of and working on in the background. We are also looking at different accrediting agencies just to see which one of those would be the best path to choose. We fit a lot of the metrics, whichever way we look, but we just kind of want to see what accreditation opportunities are available for the EMS side as well. So that's kind of the big picture of where we're at.
All right, thank you so much, Lieutenant Farmer. I just wanted to just brief the citizens of Douglas County and the Board of Commissioners. All right, are there any other remarks from the Board of Commissioners before we close out today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Vice Chairman Robinson.
You got a lot of feedback.
Everyone, please mute your mic. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Are we doing announcements or?
Yeah, you are. We are.
All right. All right, may I? All right, thank you, Madam Chair. To the citizens of Douglas County, this coming, up in 2 Thursdays from now, on the 27th of January, we'll be doing the 5th annual Doing Business Around Douglas event. We're going to be having it at the conference center, City of Douglasville, at 6 to 9 p.m. Light hors d'oeuvres will be shared. We have a very good event plan to do education. It will be filmed, and we will be doing, I want to call a hybrid model, but we're going to convene in person at the conference, and we recognize that people can be all over. We've got a keynote speaker that's going to come speak to talk about teaming, talk about diversity and expansion, specifically the CEO of over $160 million company, Herman J. Russell, is going to be here. And Michael Russell will speak for us and talk about a second generation and what it means to pass the baton and what it means to begin at the beginning and how to expand and make a difference in your own lives and in the lives of your family. In addition to that, we are going to have some panelists dealing with representation from women, veterans, minorities, and disabled that will be participating as well. Again, this is our 5th annual. It grows every year. We don't think that it will be otherwise very successful. Again, as we began to push, like I said, to not necessarily maintain the status quo, but to expand it, to ensure that all representation and opportunity that people can pursue. And how you do that is through education and information. So this is one of those you don't want to miss. Again, having that 5th one, like we know what we're doing. We're seasoned. This is across 2 terms, Madam Chair. We did this when we first came out, and here we are in the 5th year. So we got this. So I look forward to the citizens coming out 6 to 9 on the 27th of January at the downtown city of Douglasville. There'll be more information coming out. Madam Chair, I yield.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Any other announcements from the Board of Commissioners? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Guider, you have the floor.
And you mentioned this at the beginning of our meeting, that we were going virtual with our legislative meetings. So I just wanted you to remind them, because they may be looking to go to the courthouse next Tuesday night. So just remind everybody, because you said it at the beginning of the meeting, but some people may not have been online at that time.
Okay, you can remind them for me. You're doing a great job.
Due to the increase in the COVID cases and everything, we are going back to virtual for our legislative meeting. Our next one will be next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, and it will be virtual. So just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. I want to publicly thank my fellow Board of Commissioners. They have just been awesome during this pandemic. I know my wheelhouse is healthcare and medical, and they have just jumped on board, and they're sounding like physicians now. I just love it. So thank you, Board of Commissioners, for all of your support. This has been a tremendous hurdle for all of us. Didn't realize that this pandemic would last this long, and I had an opportunity to research, and the Spanish flu, I believe, was a 4-year span. So we may just be on the 50-yard line, because once one variant goes away, another one is always coming behind it. I understand now there's supposed to be an Omicron and Delta duo coming next, and then something else related to something. So it's a never-ending saga. But I do want to just close by saying, if there are no other comments from the board, any other comments before, I always close with the 3 W's. Right now we have a surge in Douglas County. It is astronomical. We are about 3,500 cases per 100,000. We would love anything like 90 cases per 100,000. So There is a tremendous surge at this time, so I'm asking everyone to still protect yourselves. And the Dr. Fauci has asked that we step our game up a little bit, and CDC as well with our masks. I love the nice coordinated mask, but right now they're asking us to wear N95, anything KN95 or N95 is particularly the one that's being recommended, or either a mask with high quality, one that's rather thick in like a thick double muslin type mask. But again, wash your hands repeatedly throughout the day. That's very important. Just when you think about it and you just want to jump up, you don't have to say, I just touched this, wash your hands. Repeat it repeatedly throughout the day. And certainly watch your social distancing. And I'm encouraging the vaccine because the vaccine has been a lifesaver for so many, because I know we're having a lot of breakthroughs, and that is something that's trending very high in the United States. But just thankfully that because of the vaccine, our hospitalization rates and ventilation rate for the ventilators have really been on the decline. So I ask you to certainly consider the vaccine and the booster. That would at least help with you if you do have a breakthrough. According to the epidemiologists, it's not when will you, in other words, in a nutshell, it's been presumed that all of us will eventually have a touch of this virus one way or the other. So it's not what we're going to do, is when we get it, what shall we do to prevent us from becoming very ill. So I'm urging the vaccine again and the boosters, and Board of Commissioners, if there's nothing else to come before this body today, I really appreciate all of your support with this pandemic. You have been amazing. That's all I can say. And thank you, citizens, for your resilience. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday virtually, next Tuesday, which is January the 18th at 6 p.m. And if there's nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great day.